Wenstrup.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Ms. Werfel, thank you for being here today. Appreciate it. I'd like to focus my time today on an issue brought to me by constituents who are encountering issues with the employee retention tax credit. I do want to say that over the years, my IRS advocate to my office, they've been outstanding. So I do want to applaud that, always responsive and helpful. I wish we didn't have to call as often as we do, but this is what we're talking about, these issues. But recently I was contacted by a constituent who tells me that their business is really in imminent jeopardy and will close, go out of business if they don't receive the ERTC funds that they had applied for. And while this constituent applied for the ERTC before the IRS moratorium, the backlog, I understand, of the ERTC returns has been created results in this claim being trapped in limbo. And for him, he sees no end in sight and trying as hard as he can. Another constituent of mine has been waiting nearly 2 years, and yet while the IRS will not process his $14 million ERTC claim, they will process an intent to levy taxes on his business. And you can understand the conundrum there. So it's kind of hard for the IRS to attempt to collect on this constituent's taxes when the balance would have been wiped out already if their ERTC claims were processed in a timely manner.
Yeah.
So one thing's holding the other. So I understand that this program has become rife with fraud and abuse, and I agree that enforcement action must be taken against bad actors, and I sympathize with you there. But I'd like to ask a couple questions about what IRS is doing, can do to solve the issue for my constituents, and what steps Congress can take to be helpful as well. So I'll kind of bundle these three questions, if you will. What is the status of the IRS's ERTC moratorium? How many claims are in the pipeline? And do you have a timeline for those claims filed before the moratorium?
Yes. So first of all, I appreciate you raising it. It's important that we understand where there's a constituent or a taxpayer, in particular where there's a potential hardship. They're waiting on an eligible claim, and they're facing an emerging hardship. That's why we work with our taxpayer advocate to try to bump up to the front of the line those that are in more of a crisis situation. And we've had some success with that. I think there's been some reference to that here. Plus, I want to learn more about these types of situations because other taxpayers may be experiencing, and maybe there's some scaled solutions we can do. As I mentioned earlier, we are making slow, steady progress. Since the moratorium has been issued, we've approved nearly $1 billion in ERCs. The challenge that we have is that there's a lot more in the inventory as we're looking to piece out which are eligible and which are ineligible. I would expect that by this spring, we would have finished the work necessary to really kind of separate into the right buckets, and we'll be able to lift the moratorium in that time frame.
Well, if there's anything that Congress can do, or in particular, a congressional office can do, we would appreciate that. And I was wondering if passing the American Families and Jobs Act would help alleviate this.
It absolutely would, for a variety of different reasons. The situation that we have has a lot of unique challenges in terms of the inventory, ineligibility, incentives that are being provided to certain promoters that are clogging the system and harming honest taxpayers. The bill that's been passed by this committee and the House addresses a lot of that, and we're appreciative.
Thank you. I yield back. And again, feel free to reach out to members of Congress if there's things we can do on our end or within our district offices.
I appreciate that.
Yield back.
Thank you, Mr.